Hi guys, this is John. So today, let's just spend some time trying to understand the concepts of class, exactly what a class is. So now, before we look at what a class is, we need to really understand that Java is an object-oriented language. So not just Java. There are a couple of languages which are object-oriented, right? So exactly, what do you mean when you say that language is object-oriented? So the basic idea is that for in an object-oriented language, uh, what the developer does is whenever he is faced with a real world problem, he tries to objectify it. Okay, we'll see in a while how that is done. But then if you need to objectify something, class is something that is very important. Okay, so exactly what is an object? An object is, let's just keep it very simple, is anything that you see in a real world, right? A table is an object, uh, a pen is an object. So in this particular example that I've given, I've given very specific example. So if you take a cup, right, you have a white ceramic cup, that is an object. If you have a red glass cup, that is also an object. A plastic cup is an object, right? So now when you look at these objects, right, if you look closely at these things, uh, all of these three things are cups. Okay, so the basic idea is that if you have a mold, right? If you're into manufacturing, if you want to make a cup, right, what they do is they will have a mold, right, the particular shape. So with that mold, a mold which is shaped like a cup, you could essentially create a white ceramic cup or a red glass cup or a blue plastic cup. Yeah. So how do you do that? You mix in white ceramic to get a white cup, or red glass, or you put in blue color plastic to get the blue plastic cup. So basically, with a cup mold, you are creating different types of cups, right? So uh, now coming back to classes, class is similar to this. Class is a mold, okay, or let's say it's a template. So this the cup example that I told you might be a bit narrow. It's a lot more wider than that, but then let's just stick to cup for now. So a class, what is a class? A class is a mold which is used for creating objects. So in this case, so a cup mold could be considered as a class in the programming world. So we could create a class for a cup class, and with that, the objects that are created are derived out of that would be a white ceramic cup, a red glass cup, a blue plastic cup. So to put this into a definition, what is an object? An object is an instance of a class. Okay, it is, right? So when you have a cup, and then when you make it a white ceramic cup, that becomes an instance of a class. It gets created in runtime, and it's a real world entity with a state and a behavior. So in the above example, right, let's not talk about behavior for now. The It's a white ceramic cup. So white is the color of the cup. So that is a property of the cup. Okay, and material type. It could be a ceramic. So that these color and material type are properties of that object, of the class. Okay, so when we change these properties, right, when you change the color to blue, and when you change the material type to plastic, you get a different type of cup. So in the above example, these are properties of the cup, right? Now uh, let's just look at a real world example to kind of understand why we have this object oriented approach to programming, and then how classes, creating these classes for objects help get there for this object oriented programming approach. So let me just move on to the next slide. So over here, what I have done, let's try to take a real world example, maybe a website which we normally use, and try to kind of say how we use this classes and object oriented approach there, right? So now let's say we book train tickets, right? So let's say that there is a website for booking train tickets. So the flow would be that you come in to the website, right? There could be a page where you search for the train, you key in the dates and search, you get a list of trains, and probably you then select a train, then select a seat or a booking date, and then confirm it, pay for it, and then take a printout of the ticket, right? So now, so what happens is, when you go to the page where you search for the trains. So what happens is, you key in dates and you hit the search button. So when that happens, there's a code which probably, it need not exactly work like this. Probably goes to the database and picks up a list of available trains, for that date range, and shows it to you, right? So what you could do is you could select one of the trains and then move on to the next page. So the same train details, it would show you the train name, train ID, or the train start time, the train destination. So the same details would appear in the next page selection, right? The train details, and the same details would appear in the next booking confirmation page, and the same details would again appear in the ticket printout page. So now, how does this detail appear on all of these pages? So the code developer could pretty much take it from the database on all these pages. So he picks it up and shows it in the train search page, and then in the train selection page again he could you select train one, so he could again go back to the database and show the details again, and the next page as well he could connect to the database and show it. Okay, so but then that is not a proper approach for coding. So what happens is that in the coding world, when a train is searched for and you get a lot of trains, uh, the developer in the back, what he does is when he makes the page, he would probably create a class called train. Okay, so this is like a generic train class. Okay, so a train which goes to let's say a train name train 123. So that is an object. Okay, so how, so the train class, it would have different types of properties, like set the train name, set the train ID, set the train start time, and all of that. So when each of these changes, a new train object gets created, right? So when the train name is let's say uh, express 1, and the train ID is ID 1, so that is train object 1. Then the train name is express 2 and the ID is ID 2, that is train object 2, right? So what happens is, so this is a class is created, and then objects are derived from the class by changing the property of the class. We create different objects, just like we have the cup and change the color to red and get a red cup. We have a train class, and we train with an ID, and we change the ID to 123, and we get a train with ID 123. We change the ID to express ABC, and then get another train, right? So these objects are different entities with different states within them. So each of these trains will have a different end time and a start time. Okay, so now getting back to our flow. So once in the train search page, right, once you get back, you search it, and the data from the train database comes back into the train search page. What happens is, there could be a code which takes up all of these data, and this is not how it is done. Okay, just to make it simple for you guys to understand, it picks up all of these data, and then let's say there's a first row of data which says train 1, uh, express 1, time 10 o'clock. So it creates an object with that detail, right? In the second row, the code will create an object with that detail. So in the second row, there is another line which says train express ABC, uh, ID 345, and some time. It uses that second row and creates an object 2, object 3, and does so like that. So now what happens is that whatever data was there in the database, it has come out into the front as an object. And what is the benefit of this now? So it is ultimately, what is happening is all of these objects are ultimately just being created from this class, right? So if this class was not there, what would have happened is there would have been a lot of duplication. So there's a lot of code inside this class, and so for if this since this class is there, you just have probably one line of code here. But then if this class was not there, there are 10 lines of code. So for each line, there would be another 10 lines of code, which would make life really difficult when you're working with enterprise level applications, right? So now, so you have different train objects on this page with all of the details. Now let's say, now what do I do? I go ahead, and while booking my train, I select train 1 and go to the seat selection page. So now what happens is this object is the only one that gets passed to the next page. So there's no need to really go back to the database, pick up data or anything, right? So this, whatever you select here, the data is put into an object, it's encapsulated into an object and then passed on to the next page, and then again shown in the third page, and then again shown in the ticket print page, instead of going to the database and picking up or showing all of these lines of code in the page. uh, you know this makes life really simple for development. So you have small pieces of code which can be directly called wherever you need. So this is just a simple example of how um, this how we objectify things, and how this whole idea of class is used while coding. Hope this was helpful. Thanks a lot.